Hi everyone, my name is Mattias Hindfeldt. I'm the CIO of Riksbyggen. I have a lot of challenges, and one of them is actually that buildings are tall, slippery, and they still need maintenance. At Riksbyggen, safety always comes first. So unfortunately, we still see that people do get hurt when they're not complying with regulations when they work on altitude, so to speak, like roofs and so on. But the main challenge is still, actually, the last one, is people can't fly yet. That is actually the main challenge. And the reason for that being a challenge is that we're in the building industry. So here it comes. We are we're actually the building or the largest property management firms in Sweden. We're a builder. I think we're our size third largest builder in Sweden. We do a lot of bookkeeping. We maintain more than 10,000 houses in Sweden. We're currently, I think, 500,000 Swedes live their daily lives in apartments that we maintain. And we are only national, but we are really national, if you see what I mean. We are almost in every village in Sweden. Not city, we're talking village. That's where you'll find us. So, the question comes, well, why is this interesting? Why do we need to work on hazardous areas? And this is actually, it's so silly, it doesn't need a sound. This is the way you inspect windows. You make a trolley and you add a camera, and then you drag it up and down. It's not very efficient. It's fairly safe, though, because the guys are standing on a ledge there. But as you will see, there's a lot of windows that has to be inspected. And this is what we do to make sure that the builders that actually built it correctly before we pay the bill. Yeah, it's not always a straight line, but eventually you'll get there. This is just one of the many examples that we actually do for real. This is for real. This, on this side, is actually the legislation, or actually all the regulations that you have to follow when you work on roofs or on sky cranes and so on. It's a bunch. The regulation is massive and not always completely easy to follow and comply with. We use a lot of sky lifts and cranes when we do inspections of the facades or of the roofs or technical installations on top of buildings. The problem with the cranes or the sky lifts is that, first of all, you have to get them in place, and then you have to move them around the building, because the building, well, you can't really put the sky lift in one place and check all the building. You have to move around all the corners. Also, you have to secure it. It takes a lot of manpower as well. So that was actually one of the challenges. So we came up with this solution. Why not use drones? They are cheap. They're extremely cost efficient. Yes, sure, there is always the risk that it will drop down from the sky and hit someone in the head. But of course, we always mark the regulated area where you're not allowed to walk when it's flying. So we thought, great idea, let's use drones. Extremely cost efficient for this kind of work. Also, it flies in any kind of weather. We have actually taken it out in rain. It works great. It's fast, something that usually takes a couple of hours. Now it takes 10 minutes. We got photo documentation in 4K video. We can show the customers. It's actually a great idea. It's such a great idea that it made the physical report saying, we have the solution. This is excellent. Right now, I think when this was published, we had 7 pilots. I think we're 12 today, flying around. So everything looked really good. A lot of competitors, or as we say, because right now the the business of building is not really a competitive market, so we say our friends. They shared a lot of interest, saying, what do you use them for? And for one really good purpose, in Sweden we have a lot of snow. That means that every year there's a lot of people working on the roofs and they're shoveling snow down. It's not really done with like a detail. It's more or less with force, brute force. So you can see the way roofs look after that somebody's used a shovel or a hatchet or whatever to get the ice and snow away from the roofs. This way we could document it before and after, so we could tell the company that had this deal, well, the roof was complete before you start working on it, and now it's broken, so you'll fix it. Fairly simple, fairly quick, everything was very neatly. Could also see taking pictures where the heat leakage is. It's really great. It's a very easy way to persuade customers to do something, because they can finally see by themselves. And also, to check a beam under a roof is not something you do when it's 25 or 35 meters above ground. That takes a lot, a big sky crane. In this case, that's a picture we took, and it was done in 5 minutes. So we could see, well, this is drilled dry, there's no problem with the housing. So far, so good. Until we got a Christmas present on December, I think it was 23rd, no, 21st. This is actually from the Authority of Controlling Integrity. They came to the conclusion on the 21st of December that drones are to be considered surveillance cameras. That means that we have a legislation about integrity and cameras, which comes into play. As Riksbyggen, we want to comply with all the laws. So we said, okay, sure, our drones, they're considered surveillance cameras, even though we're actually just filming the roof and the technical installation, and I guess roofs has an integrity need as well. Sure, we'll play by the rules. So we played along, and this is one of the applications we sent in. We have this 10,000 buildings in Sweden, and we want to do this. And there is a lot of funny questions. The favorite one is actually third on the top. It says, I translate to English, it says, where the camera planted? And the answer is, it's a drone, it doesn't have a specific address, it flies, that's kind of the point. I thought this was gonna go really well. I thought, yeah, sure, it's gonna take a month or two, it's okay, we'll be up and flying by January. But no, we got this back from the authorities saying, could you please precise the address where you'll put the drone? It's like, no, I can't, because it's flying. That's kind of the point. And I'm not making this up. This is for real. You can check it. This person handling the application is great. She's a bit embarrassed, but she's really great. And I must say that when it comes to all the legal stuff, otherwise with permits, the Authority of Transportation has been very forthcoming. They've been great to work with. Also the military, because you need a military permit as well, because otherwise you cannot let anybody else see the pictures. There is a law in Sweden from 1973 that actually prohibits you to take a picture from a vehicle flying in air. So next time you leave Arlanda, don't do an Instagram, because you're actually breaking the law. You just don't know about it yet. Anyway, so this is where we're at. The problem is, though, since the permit granting regional offices, they say they can't really handle it, because we actually gave them the 10,000 addresses. We printed out in paper. I think it was 28 pages, size 8. So they didn't really know what to do. They're like, well, I think we need an application for every address. And I'm like, yeah, sure. The application is 3,500 crowns. That's 350 euros. Times 10,000. Not only would that be a huge amount of money, which we probably would not spend on a good business case, because it would take a while back until we had a good ROE, but also we'll like DDoS the authorities with paper applications. I mean, how do you handle 10,000 applications coming from one part saying, well, we want this address, and this address, and this address, and so on? It's ridiculous. So right now, we're actually in the status quo. We're waiting the, this logo is actually saying this is the head of, you can't really get any higher in Swedish legislation than this one. So there is a case, and it's not our case, it's a case just before us, with a drone. And it's whether or not a drone is to be considered a surveillance camera or not. So right now, Riksbyggen has had the, unfortunately, the decision to actually have all our drones on the ground. We have a great business case. All we want to do is just make it fly, make a better working environment. But right now, the Swedish legislation is saying that this is not a bearable business. Hopefully, it will change in autumn. So that's it.
Great. Well, it's great, but